Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. I'm actually in the process of filming the next video, but in the process of filming that video, Kamala Harris just released a statement freshly comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler.
That Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas.
The fact that she released this statement in concert with several other news outlets and organizations, The Atlantic would be another example, the fact that they are using the same language simultaneously to ring the alarm bells that Trump is Hitler and that the United States is over if he gets into the presidency. They're pushing three main issues here that are not correct, and I want to kind of go over them real quickly here. The first is that Trump is an anti-Semite. The second is that he is effectively going to dismantle the Constitution and make serfs of us all and destroy his political opponents and send them off into concentration camps. And then the third is General Kelly's assurances that he heard Trump saying effectively pro-Hitler things. So I want to go over those 3 points and deconstruct them for a little bit. Here's one thing that's for darn sure and certain. You can count on these people to act like scared animals, and that's on the best of days. Really, their MO is admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations. So the MO of the left is essentially everything that they accuse the opposition of. That's what they A, already do, and B, are planning for their perfect implementation of. So first off, Kamala compared him today to effectively the genocidal fascistic leader who killed 6 million Jews and other political dissidents. Well, here's the thing. Trump is not an anti-Semite by any means possible that you could construe it. He's not an anti-Semite. He has family that are Jewish. And furthermore, when I look at actually who are the political entities that are most supporting the genocide of Jews worldwide, it's Kamala Harris and it's Joe Biden and their organizations, which have taken American taxpayer dollars and funneled it straight into the cesspool of Gaza, which is a Hamas terrorist, duly elected, by the way, Hamas terrorist sympathizing area. And then number two, they've sent millions and millions of dollars, probably over $1 billion at this point, to other Jew-hating, genocidal terrorist organizations and the governments that legitimize them, including Lebanon recently. And people could say, oh, well, Lebanon doesn't really hate Israel. It's just Hezbollah that's in power there. Yeah, they sent our taxpayer dollars over there when Israel started defending itself again. So the people who are most anti-Semitic right now are the Democrat Party, not Donald Trump and not the Republican Party. It's the Democrat Party, and Kamala Harris is effectively running as their poster child right now. So no, Trump's not an anti-Semite. Kamala and Joe Biden have been the greatest financial contributors to the destruction of the Jewish people and the Jewish state in recent memory. So no, Kamala, no, Trump's not an anti-Semite. Second point here. When you look at actually the key prerequisites for being a dictator, disarming your political opponents is foremost. And when I look at the party that single-handedly has been responsible for the greatest amount of A, rhetoric and B, momentum against gun owners and against law-abiding citizens in general who exercise their Second Amendment rights, it's the Democrat Party. Now, granted, Trump messed up his last term and was all for the bump stock ban. And several people, including myself, who are uncompromising Second Amendment advocates, roundly called him out about this. So we'll own it where there's an issue here. But the wide and broad-reaching disarmament, so-called assault weapons bans, Kamala's all about that. And I don't understand how it is that she thinks we're too stupid to recognize that she has advocated for victim disarmament. She's advocated for people not to be able to defend themselves, and certainly she has participated in governments that weaponize themselves against political dissidents, and ultimately she wants people disarmed. So no, Trump's not a dictator. Dictators try and disarm people. When I look at the party that's tried to disarm people, that's the Democrat Party, and Kamala Harris is all about disarmament. So the next thing here is about General Kelly. Now, General Kelly, of course, he did serve in the Trump administration, but there's a couple of things that are prerequisites to his speaking about Trump's supposed Hitler fascination. First off, General Kelly was very much disliked by a lot of Democrats, including Pocahontas and including Cory Booker, because before he came into the Trump administration, he did not properly list his financial conflicts of interest. General Kelly had direct financial ties prior to coming into the Trump administration with organizations and companies, advocacy groups that stood to benefit directly financially in the case of war. Don't you find it interesting now that General Kelly, who previously had financial entanglements associated with these companies, that these companies really would stand to lose a lot of potential profit if Trump gets in, because Trump doesn't want to go to war. And when you look at these defense contractors who stand to make a lot of money off of the military-industrial complex, read our taxpayer dollars going to A, foreign entanglements, B, getting our young people killed for what? Profit? And then C, getting the world further hooked into this entity that is the entangled military-industrial complex of the United States. Don't you find it interesting that right about now, General Kelly seems to be the one saying, oh, Trump bad, Cheeto bad, Orange Man bad, because he's the new Hitler. Always follow the money. When you think about who stands to lose the most if Trump gets in office, it's the military-industrial complex. So in the grand scheme of things, folks, I wanted to take a moment to really dissect that, because of Kamala's statement that she made today, those are three of the things that immediately stood out to me as A, untruths, and then B, completely manufacturing things that are just not so. So first off, Trump is not an anti-Semite. His family are Jewish, and Trump actually moved the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. So no, he's not an anti-Semite. No, he's not going to get 6 million Jews killed. That was a complete, horrible comparison, which any person who has an ounce of historical knowledge would immediately be able to refute. And then number two, Trump is not the one seeking to disarm people en masse. He's not the one seeking to establish a complete control and domination of the United States federal infrastructure over the people. And by the way, is it Biden and the administration that Kamala has just recently served in that threatened dropping bombs on American citizens just to try and control them?
The Second Amendment, from the day it was passed, limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own. If you wanted to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons.
So no, Trump's not the one trying to disarm people. That would be the Biden-Harris administration and all the Democrat ilk who want to try and disarm people serially. And then the third, of course, is the financial entanglements of General Kelly and the military-industrial complex itself. The military-industrial complex and the profit mechanism, the war profiteering mechanism in the United States is running scared right now because they know that Trump is not going to get us into wars if he does what he said he's going to do, and if anything, try to get us out of them and decrease overall our spending on war. They don't like that. They would rather keep sending our young people into the meat grinder so they can have cushy retirements. That's the bottom line. And whenever their cushy retirements and their yacht clubs are threatened, they don't really like that. So, friends, I just wanted to put that out there and give us some food for thought. Let me know in the comments below. Have you heard people spouting these things like Trump's going to be the next dictator? Have you heard things to this? Let me know in the comments below what you've said in those cases, and also, what your thoughts are. Folks, if you got value from this video, please share this with one person who you know would be encouraged by it, or maybe even potentially helped in their ability to refute this nonsense when they hear it. We are closing in on election time, folks. If you haven't voted and you are considering either early voting or that's the only option for you, definitely do that. And also be aware of where your precincts are. Another thing to look at in the lead up to the election is what are the other down ballot issues that you could be voting on in your area. It's not just, of course, the federal elections, but also you have state and local elections. And it's not just about people serving. There are referendums on the ballot in many places that are specifically affecting voter integrity measures. So make sure that you are read up on those before you go in to vote. Make sure that you've referenced your sample ballots. A lot of times your local news organizations will have posted, or your local newspapers will have posted online sample ballots, so that way you can be informed ahead of time before you go in to vote. Hope the video was helpful for y'all. Have a very, very blessed week. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.